with a handful of my hair in her hand. Yes, I'm back at it again. What's up, you guys? Today I'm going to be sharing some super embarrassing story times with you guys in my time of living in Korea, and I hope you enjoy. So, story number one. As some of you guys may know, during a time that I lived in Korea, I did a program where I lived with a Korean homestay family, and I somehow ended up cursing out my host sister, but I didn't do it on purpose. I did it by mistake. Yeah, it was wild. So this is how it went. It was a super hot day, and it was giving very much like Satan armpit vibes. I just was not here for the heat. And I don't know what it is, but like, I guess my host family feels heat differently than I do. And they were not turning on the AC. And I'm like, oh my God, your girl is dying. I'm feeling very much like that episode where SpongeBob needed water and Sandy was just there.
Can I get you anything?
Water would be nice.
I'm gonna put these in a vase.
So like, I told my host sister, I'm like, hey, do you want to go buy some ice cream? You know, onisake, you know, I'll buy it. So, you know, she's all for it. She's like, yeah, let's go, honey. And like, she's really young. She's like, what, 10 years old? So like, she's zooming for the door. And, you know, I'm zooming too because I'm trying to get up out of there. It's hot as, you know, what, okay? And I noticed that she had on some shoes that I ain't never seen before. So I was like, oh. I'm like, oh, 세로냐? 너 엄청 예뻐요. And like, I'm expecting a thanks back, you know? But like, she looks at me and I look back at her. And then I start to think about like all the videos I've seen about Korea where it's not like common to compliment people. So I'm thinking like, dang,
Like, is my complimented, like, did I just get rejected for my compliment? Like,
so like my mind is going 10,000. I'm like, did I say something wrong? And then I'm starting to think like, dang, maybe it's rude to compliment shoes here. Like, I don't know. And then my host sister, she busts out laughing out of nowhere. And then she's like, thanks. And I'm just there. I'm like even more confused. I'm like, is she okay? Am I okay? Like, what's going on? Okay. Why didn't you just, you know, say thank you in the first place? Okay. But yeah, we go on to the corner stove, and I'm just thinking the whole time, like, what did I do? Like, I'm just so paranoid about like that whole interaction. Yeah, like if you ever have language fails and wins, just let me know in the comment box below. So like on our way back home from getting ice cream, we encounter like a bunch of like high schooler and middle schooler students like cursing each other out like sailors. And that's when I realized why my host sister laughed, because they were using it in context. And I realized like, oh, I pronounced shoe like no. So moral of the story, you want to make sure that you are careful of your pronunciation, okay? So story number 2 is about the time that was just absolutely wild. So during this time, I had woke up around like, I think it was like 9:10, and class was starting in like legit 20 minutes. So I'm like, I need to skedaddle. I need to get up out of here. I need to go to class. So like, I'm rushing. I'm putting on my clothes. I'm throwing on my wig. You know, I'm dashing across campus. Like, I'm looking like Sonic himself. I'm looking like, what's that one superhero? Dash from Incredible? Yeah, I'm looking like Dash, you know. I'm trying to get to class. I ain't trying to be late. You know, it's bad enough that I was already skipping class to go to like M Countdown, and I couldn't skip this class, okay? I had to go to class. So I ended up getting to class like 5 minutes before it starts. So I get there around like 9:25, and like I bust through the classroom door, and it looks like class is already in the middle of session, and I'm like, what is going on here? Like, class don't start for another 5 minutes. Like, what are you doing here, Miss Teacher? Like, what's going on? Like, why is class in session? I did not receive an email that class was starting early, especially because the professor usually comes in like right exactly when class starts. So like it was a little weird. And then like I saw all of my friends who were like in my other class, plus a few new faces. So I'm like, what's going on here? What's happening? And my teacher, you know, she's just teaching away at the board, and then she turns around to me and she looks at me. So yeah, then my teacher, she turns around and she looks at me. She's glaring at my confused face while I'm standing there at the door. And she tells me, she's like,
You're in the wrong class.
and I'm like, okay. So I turn around and I go, you know, I leave with my tail between my legs, and I'm just like sitting there, and I'm like, what in the Twilight Zone? Did I just shift to a different reality? Like, what is going on? So like I'm just sitting there like thinking, and then I look at the clock because I'm like, okay, if they were in the middle of class and it's like 5 minutes before class starts, like they should be out by now. Like my clock on my phone, it showed like 9:40, and I'm like, they should be out of class right now. And then like I turn, I don't know what made me turn, but like I turn and look at one of the clocks on the lounge, and like something, it clicks. It clicks right then and there. And then I realized that like my phone had went forward in time for daylight savings time, but in Korea there's no daylight savings time. So I ended up walking into class like nearly an hour late when I thought I was gonna be late.
I wasn't late. The clock was late.
Okay. But yeah, Korea doesn't have daylight savings time. So yeah, be careful of your phone still being on like that mode to switch to daylight savings when you come here, because it's not a thing here. Yeah. Okay, so story number 3, the time I was almost de-wigged in public. Okay, even my wigs aren't safe. So, long time ago, I was with a group of friends in my Korean language program, and like we had some time. Normally, we don't have time after excursions to ourselves. So like this was a rare opportunity to have like time to actually hang out. So we all took this opportunity and we're like, yeah, let's go to H&M, let's go pick out outfits, let's go hang out in like this poppin' college street. So like we all go, and like we're like deep in H&M, like deep. And I could feel eyes on the back of my head, but I'm not paying attention because I'm like, okay, there are many foreigners here, so like I can understand why you're staring. You know, I probably stare too. You know, I see all these foreigners like deep in H&M. You know, I probably stare too. So
I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna ignore it.
but then, you know, I could feel a presence on my back, and I'm like, something not right. I go to turn my head like because like before it was in my peripheral vision. So I'm like, okay, I need this in my full vision. Like I turn to get a good look at who's like staring at me. And while I'm turning, I can see the person, you know, their hand in my hair. And at the same time, me turning, my wig was, you know, slowly lifting. Okay, it was coming back. It's my fault because I didn't like glue it down that day. It was hot, you know, and it was gonna come off anyway because, you know, the sweat. But yeah, like I could feel it lifting and pulling back, and like while I turned to look at her with a handful of my hair in her hand.
Oh, no, ma'am. No, ma'am.
I know it's not mine, but I paid for it. And I could see her face Her face was in so much shock. Like, why is your scalp moving?
Let me.
Oh, why is your skin moving? Why did your hair move? Like, what's going on? Like, I could see her shock. And then, like, all I could do is just, like, give her a stare, like the leave me alone stare. And then, like, I walked away to readjust my wig in shame. Like, you know, I had to look around, see who was stared, and then, like, readjust my wig, and then just leave at that point. Because I'm like, what if she
starts investigating me, and I'm like, I don't have time for that. Like, I don't have the energy. I can't right now.
I was almost evicted in public, and this may happen to you. And if it does, and someone ever gets into your personal space, there's two things you can say. You can say something like, "건드리지 마세요," like don't touch me, or you can say "머리 만지지 마세요," like don't touch my hair. So yeah, those are two phrases you can say. And honestly, at that point, I was like,
dang, even my wigs aren't safe.
because like this is one of the main reasons like why I don't wear my natural hair out, because like people will stare and have their hands, like the dirty hands, all up in my hair, and I can't have that.
I will not have that.
Okay. And I'm like, dang, people with their hands all up in my hair. And honestly, you would think I had on like an afro type wig. That wasn't even the case. I had on some Brazilian straight, okay? Some Brazilian straight hair. You know, I guess I understand it was 24 inches. I was on my like BBL effect, okay? But come on, that does not give you the right. Like, how is my Brazilian straight any different? Okay, it's not. The only difference is like how long it was. Like, it was down to my booty. But again, would you touch someone else that, you know, had a different complexion than I, who had the same length of hair? Probably not, right? So yeah, never be afraid to advocate for yourself, you guys. I don't think it matters if you're a foreigner or not. It's weird and low-key dehumanizing. Like, I'm not a pet, okay? And I feel the same way when I'm in America.
Surprise.
When people like to have their hands in my hair for whatever reason. But yeah, don't be afraid to advocate for yourself. I wonder like what was going through her head when she saw like my ball cap, like. But anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to check out my other videos, and I will see you next time. Later.